Connive as verb. To be involved in a secret or illegal plan or scheme, often with others. To conspire or collaborate in an illegal or unethical manner. The two employees were accused of conniving to steal company property. The parents were upset when they discovered their children had been conniving to skip school. The student was caught conniving with a classmate to cheat on the exam. The politician was found to have connived with lobbyists to pass a controversial bill. The thieves had connived to break into the museum and steal the valuable artifacts. Debonair as adjective, confidently charming and stylish in manner or appearance, elegant, suave, and charming in manner or appearance. He looked very debonair in his tailored suit and polished shoes. The actor's debonair demeanor made him very popular with female fans. The gentleman was always impeccably dressed and had a debonair charm. The hotel had a debonair atmosphere with its luxurious furnishings and attentive staff. The debonair spy impressed everyone with his suave manners and quick thinking. Embroil as verb. To involve someone or something in a complicated, confused, or unpleasant situation. To mix or blend something together in a confused or disorderly manner. The scandal embroiled several high-ranking officials. The company became embroiled in a legal dispute over copyright infringement. The family was embroiled in a bitter feud over their inheritance. The politician was embroiled in a scandal involving bribery and corruption. The athlete became embroiled in controversy over doping allegations. Encumber as verb. To burden or weigh down, especially with something unwanted or excessive. To obstruct or impede the action or progress of something. The company's debt encumbers its ability to invest in new projects. She was encumbered by heavy luggage while trying to catch the train. The legal restrictions encumbered the development of the property. The excessive regulations have encumbered the growth of small businesses. The slow and outdated computer system encumbers the efficiency of the office. Foible as noun. A minor flaw or defect in something, especially one that does not affect its functioning or quality. A minor weakness or fault in character, behavior, or judgment. Despite his many foibles, he was still a beloved figure in the community. One of his foibles is that he always forgets to tie his shoelaces. She found his foibles endearing and charming. His foibles made him seem more human and relatable. The politician's foibles were exposed during the scandal. Guffaw as noun. A loud, unrestrained burst of laughter, especially one that is accompanied by a slapping of the knees or other similar physical reactions. The movie had some genuinely funny moments that made us burst out in guffaws. His loud guffaw could be heard across the room, drawing attention to himself. She couldn't suppress a guffaw when she saw the silly costume her friend was wearing. The comedian's jokes elicited guffaws and laughter from the audience. He tried to cover up his guffaw with a cough, but everyone had already heard it. Ingenuity as noun. The ability to find clever and practical solutions to problems. The quality of being clever, inventive, and original.
The engineer used his ingenuity to design a machine that could perform several tasks at once.
A writer's ingenuity can be seen in the unique plot twists and turns of their story. The artist's ingenuity was evident in the way he incorporated recycled materials into his sculptures. The athlete's ingenuity allowed her to come up with new training methods that improved her performance. The company's ingenuity in marketing its products helped it gain a competitive edge over its rivals. Inure as verb. To accustom or habituate someone or something to a particular situation or condition, especially an unpleasant one. To make someone or something tolerant of something difficult or unpleasant. The harsh conditions of the military training inured him to hardship. After a while, the constant criticism started to inure her to insults. The athlete had to inure himself to the rigors of his sport in order to succeed. The repeated exposure to violence inured him to the suffering of others. Over time, the long commute inured her to spending hours in traffic. Jejune as adjective: juvenile or immature in nature, appearance, or behavior, lacking interest, significance, or nourishment, dull and immature. His speech was so jejune that no one bothered to listen to him. The book was criticized for its jejune plot and lack of character development. Her writing style was considered jejune by many literary critics. The new employee's jejune approach to problem-solving was not well received by the rest of the team. The film's jejune humor was not appreciated by the mature audience. Kowtow as verb: to act in a servile or subservient manner, to show excessive obedience or deference to someone, especially a superior or authority. The leader of the country demanded that all visitors kowtow before him as a sign of respect. Despite his reservations, the employee felt compelled to kowtow to his boss's demands in order to keep his job. The diplomat refused to kowtow to the demands of the foreign government, risking the possibility of strained relations between the two nations. The singer refused to kowtow to the record company's demands for a more mainstream sound, opting to stay true to his artistic vision. The politician was criticized for seeming to kowtow to the interests of big business, rather than representing the needs of his constituents. Maunder as verb: speak or act in a rambling, confused, or aimless manner. He tends to maunder on about his past experiences, instead of engaging in the present. The professor would maunder through his lectures, losing his audience in the process. She would often maunder through her stories, leaving out important details. The politician would maunder in his speeches, never really getting to the point. The comedian would often maunder on, making the audience uncomfortable. Objurgate as verb: to criticize or reprimand harshly and vehemently, to express strong disapproval of someone or something. The boss objurgated the employee for coming to work late again. The coach objurgated the team for their poor performance in the game. The parents objurgated their child for disobeying their rules. The teacher objurgated the student for cheating on the test. The manager objurgated the staff for not meeting their sales targets. Ostracize as verb: to exclude or banish someone from a social group or community, to reject or isolate someone from a society or community. She was ostracized by her former friends after she spoke out against their behavior. The new employee was ostracized by his colleagues for being different. The community ostracized the family after they were accused of a crime. He was ostracized from the team after he refused to follow the coach's orders. The student was ostracized by her classmates after she made a mistake in front of the whole class. Palaver as verb: to engage in lengthy, involved, or emotional talk, often in an attempt to persuade or influence someone, to talk excessively or idly, to engage in idle or aimless conversation. The politicians palavered for hours, but didn't reach any agreement. She palavered on the phone with her friend for hours. He palavered during the presentation, causing the audience to lose interest. The salesman palavered on about the product's features but didn't address the customer's concerns. The group palavered about their plans for the weekend. Palaver as noun: a long and tedious conversation or discussion, often one that is fruitless or pointless, a noisy and chaotic disturbance or commotion. The group spent the evening in palaver, catching up and telling stories. The meeting was filled with palaver, and not much progress was made. She was tired of the palaver in the office, and just wanted to focus on her work. The sales pitch was full of palaver and didn't provide enough substance. The teacher warned the students to avoid palaver during class. Picayune as noun, a minor or insignificant detail or aspect, especially one that is considered unimportant, a small or petty concern, especially one that is trivial or of little significance. The article was filled with picayune details that distracted from the main point. She was criticized for focusing on picayune issues instead of the big picture. The company spent too much time and money on picayune matters that didn't impact the bottom line. The politician was accused of being picayune in his approach to policy. The teacher encouraged her students to avoid getting bogged down in picayune details and focus on the main idea. Pillory as noun, a public punishment device consisting of a wooden framework with holes for the head and hands, used for displaying and punishing criminals. A wooden structure with holes for the head and hands, used in the past for public punishment and humiliation. The pillory was a common form of punishment in medieval times. The criminal was sentenced to a day in the pillory for his crimes. The pillory was designed to humiliate and expose the wrongdoer to public ridicule. The use of the pillory was eventually abolished in most Western countries. The townspeople gathered to watch as the accused was placed in the pillory. Pillory as verb, to expose to public scorn or contempt, ridicule or mock mercilessly, to publicly humiliate or shame someone, especially by exposing them to ridicule or contempt. The politician was pilloried in the press for his controversial remarks. The journalist was pilloried by the public for publishing inaccurate information. The CEO was pilloried by shareholders for his mismanagement of the company. The athlete was pilloried on social media for his poor performance in the game. The company was pilloried by environmentalists for its lack of commitment to sustainability. Plucky as adjective, brave and determined in the face of difficulties or challenges, showing courage and spirit, especially in the face of adversity. The plucky young athlete overcame a serious injury to win the championship. The plucky little girl stood up to the school bully and refused to be intimidated. The plucky band of survivors fought off the zombie horde against all odds. The plucky entrepreneur took a risk and started her own successful business. The plucky rescue dog saved its owner from a burning building. Pyrrhic as noun, a battle, campaign, or endeavor that results in a victory or success that is more costly or damaging than the gains achieved. A victory or success that is achieved at great cost or sacrifice, such that the benefits gained are outweighed by the losses incurred. The poet used a Pyrrhic in the third line of the stanza to create a sense of urgency. The general's victory was a Pyrrhic one, as the casualties suffered by his army far outweighed any strategic advantage gained. The company's decision to cut corners on safety measures proved to be a Pyrrhic mistake, as the resulting lawsuits bankrupted the company. The political party's Pyrrhic campaign promises were seen as desperate attempts to sway voters, and ultimately led to their defeat. The athlete's decision to compete while injured resulted in a Pyrrhic victory, as the damage to his body was severe and long-lasting. Pyrrhic as adjective, involving or characterized by great loss or sacrifice relative to the gains achieved, resulting in a victory or success that is outweighed by the costs or losses incurred. The team won the championship game, but it was a Pyrrhic victory, as their star player suffered a career-ending injury. The company's aggressive cost-cutting measures resulted in a Pyrrhic savings, as they lost a significant portion of their workforce and saw a decline in productivity. The politicians' smear campaign against their opponent was a Pyrrhic tactic, as it ultimately backfired and caused a loss of support from voters. The military's decisive victory in the battle came at a Pyrrhic cost, with many soldiers losing their lives or suffering severe injuries. The environmental agency's compromise with the polluting industry was a Pyrrhic decision, as it failed to significantly reduce pollution levels and damaged the agency's credibility with the public. Raillery as noun, good-natured teasing or mock humor, light-hearted and playful banter or joking. During the meeting, John couldn't resist a bit of raillery towards his colleague's new haircut. Despite the coach's best efforts to discourage it, the team members continued to engage in raillery and playful banter during practice. Sarah's quick wit and sharp tongue made her the queen of raillery among her friends. The comedian's routine was full of hilarious raillery aimed at various groups and individuals, but it was all in good fun. The group of friends often engaged in friendly raillery, poking fun at each other's quirks and habits. Reservation as noun, a block of seats, rooms, or resources that have been set aside for a specific purpose or group. A stipulation, condition, or qualification attached to an agreement or acceptance. The restaurant had a reservation for a party of 6 at 7 p.m. The hotel had a reservation for a guest who had booked a room online. The car rental company confirmed the reservation for a compact car. The park required reservations for camping sites during peak season. The tour guide suggested making reservations for the popular attraction in advance. Sententious as adjective, containing or characterized by moralistic statements or observations, expressing oneself in a pompous, preachy, or overly serious manner. The professor's lectures were often sententious, full of pompous language and grandiose claims. The writer's style was sententious, relying on clichés and platitudes rather than originality and nuance. The judge's tone was sententious, as he delivered the harsh sentence to the defendant. The critic's review was sententious, dismissing the work as superficial and lacking in artistic merit. The politician's speeches were criticized for being sententious and lacking in empathy. Unflappable as adjective, not easily upset, disturbed, or distracted by external circumstances, remaining calm and composed in stressful or challenging situations. Even in the face of a crisis, she remained unflappable, calmly assessing the situation and taking appropriate action. The experienced pilot remained unflappable, maneuvering the aircraft safely through turbulent weather conditions. The CEO's unflappable demeanor during the shareholders' meeting instilled confidence and stability. Despite the intense pressure, the goalkeeper displayed an unflappable focus, making crucial saves throughout the match. In stressful situations, his unflappable nature made him a reliable and composed leader. Acrimony as noun, it implies a sense of resentment, anger, or hostility towards someone or something. It is used to describe a hostile or bitter attitude or atmosphere, often in a disagreement or dispute. After the divorce, there was a lot of acrimony between the former spouses, making it hard for them to co-parent effectively. In a business partnership, acrimony can arise when there are disagreements about strategy, compensation, or other issues. The acrimony between the two political parties made it difficult for them to work together on important issues. The acrimony between the rival sports teams was palpable, with fans trading insults and taunts throughout the game. When a project fails, there can be a lot of acrimony among team members as they try to assign blame and figure out what went wrong. Afford as verb. It implies a sense of having the means to do or have something, to be capable of doing or providing something without causing undue burden or strain. She couldn't afford the high rent in the city and had to move to the suburbs. We can afford to take a vacation this year because we saved money. I can't afford to buy a new car right now. He can't afford to lose his job, so he's working hard to meet his deadlines. They couldn't afford the expensive medical treatment and had to settle for a cheaper alternative. Errant as adjective, utter, complete, unmitigated, without qualification or exception, absolute, unmitigated. An arrant knave he was, with no regard for the truth. She showed herself to be an arrant coward, fleeing at the first sign of danger. He was an arrant thief, stealing from anyone who crossed his path. The arrant fool thought he could take on the entire army by himself. The villain was an arrant rogue, with no conscience or remorse for his crimes. Celerity as noun describes swiftness or speed in accomplishing something, quality of being quick or fast in action or movement. The emergency response team acted with great celerity, arriving at the scene within minutes. The company completed the project with remarkable celerity, delivering it ahead of schedule. The military operation was executed with celerity, catching the enemy by surprise.
The driver navigated the winding road with celerity, demonstrating exceptional control of the vehicle.
The athlete moved with celerity on the court, displaying incredible speed and agility. Clemency as noun. It can also refer to a mild or lenient punishment. It can also refer to the act of showing mercy or leniency. The prisoner begged for clemency, but the judge was not swayed and handed down the maximum sentence. The governor granted clemency to the convicted criminal and reduced his sentence. The employee was fired, but he appealed to his boss for clemency and was allowed to keep his job. The charitable organization showed clemency toward the homeless man and gave him food and shelter. The criminal sought clemency from the victim's family and asked for their forgiveness. Cogent as adjective, logically convincing and clear, relevant and well supported by evidence. The lawyer presented a cogent argument that persuaded the jury to reach a verdict in favor of her client. The author made a cogent case for why we need to take climate change seriously in her latest book. The scientist's cogent explanation of the experiment's results helped the students to understand the concept better. The CEO's cogent speech at the conference impressed the audience and earned her a standing ovation. The politician's cogent proposal to address the issue of income inequality gained support from both sides of the aisle. Equitable as adjective, based on justice and fairness, fair and impartial. The judge made an equitable decision that fairly divided the assets in the divorce. The company's equitable hiring practices ensured that everyone had an equal chance to be hired. The manager's equitable treatment of all employees resulted in a positive work environment.
The organization's equitable distribution of resources helped to address income inequality in the community.
The professor graded the papers in an equitable manner, ensuring that all students were evaluated fairly. Execrate as verb, to curse or condemn vehemently, denounce, to declare to be evil or detestable, abhor. Some people execrate the use of slang in professional settings. The dictator was execrated by his people for his oppressive policies. The politician was execrated by the media for his controversial statements. She would often execrate her ex-husband when talking to her friends. The church teaches us not to execrate others, but to forgive them.